Donald Trump has been kicked out of Australia. Let me repeat. Donald Trump has been kicked out of Australia. Donald Trump's hotel organization, run by Eric Trump, claimed they were going to be building a $1 billion skyscraper in Australia, over 91 stories. Eric Trump made an announcement about 3 months ago, and now the business partner who was on the project said, "We can't name this skyscraper after Donald Trump. It can't carry the Trump name. The Trump name is utterly toxic in Australia, and it's become more toxic as a result of Donald Trump's catastrophic war in Iran." Let's take a look at what went down, folks. So, Australia's first Trump Tower, it's been scrapped just 3 months after it was announced. AI image was posted by Eric Trump. Look at this. Look how big it is. At the end of the day, the Trump family doesn't really develop these buildings. They slap their name on it and they take fees. We'll talk about the person who was supposedly going to be the builder, who still claims he's going to be building this thing, just not calling it Trump Tower anymore. But the developer who the Trump organization worked with said, "The Trump brand in this country has just become so toxic to Australians." It's a 91-story project in the Gold Coast, and apparently it's still going to go ahead but not use the Trump name. I'm not quite sure if it's really going to still go ahead. I have some red flags in my own opinion, but let's not forget what Eric Trump posted a few months back. He posted a photo of what he claimed was going to be the tower. He said, "Take a look at this. It's going to be huge. It's going to be incredible." But like all Trump entities, just complete and utter BS. Here's the story from the New York Times. As Trump Tower deal in Australia falls apart, a blame game begins. The property developer says the war in Iran and Trump's unpopularity contributed to the collapse of a plan for a 91-story on the Gold Coast. So the developer's name is David Young. He's purportedly an Australian property developer. He announced this big venture on LinkedIn a few months back. Eric Trump announced it as well. Look what we're doing in Australia. It was going to be this 92-story tower. It's going to be in Queensland, in the Gold Coast area over there. Would be the first Australian Trump International hotel and tower. And immediately after this was announced back in February, people of Australia started circulating petitions. Protests started saying, "Get this Trump name out of Australia." Of course, we remember last year during the Australian elections where the right-wing party, which in Australia is called the Liberal Party, which was previously surging ahead in the polls, led by Timu MAGA, that guy named Dutton. He lost the election. He lost his own riding, his own, basically the equivalent of a congressional seat as well. Labor won. Anthony Albanese won big, real huge victory. And he was running on standing up to Donald Trump and the U.S., while you had the Liberal Party behaving as Timu MAGA, as it was being called. Here's how the Trump organization is describing the fact that this Trump Tower ain't gonna be built. Quote, "While we were very excited about the opportunity to bring a world-class development to the Gold Coast, the project was dependent on our licensing partner meeting certain obligations." And they go on to say, "Unfortunately, those obligations, which refer to financial commitments, were not fulfilled." And then you had the individual who they chose to be their developer, this guy by the name of David Young. He blamed the Trump name as being toxic, to which the Trump family responded, "No, he just defaulted on his obligations, so he's blaming us." And it appears this is going to devolve into more and more litigation. Like everything with Donald Trump, it fails. This is how it's described in the New York Times article. Thousands rushed online to sign petitions seeking to block this Trump Tower project because of the Trump brand and what it represents, was what one of the petitions said, but there were multiple petitions circulating. Donald Trump's popularity in Australia has plunged to its lowest level of his second term because of the Iran war. A poll from the Sydney Morning Herald found last month. Indeed, more people in Australia at this point seem to feel better about China than the United States, which is a big turn of events there in Australia. And I'll remind you, back in October of 2025, there was a big protest for cutting ties with Donald Trump. You remember this? I'll show you a clip of what that protest looked like. Let's play it.
Donald Trump has got to go! Donald Trump has got to go! Donald Trump has got to go!
All right, listen, so I've been really impressed with Article. We got a beautiful mid-century modern coffee table, and it instantly elevated our living room. The quality was obvious the moment it arrived. It was packaged incredibly well, felt sturdy and substantial, and the craftsmanship was excellent with smooth edges and a premium finish that looks far more expensive than it actually was. What I also appreciated was how easy the entire process was. Their website makes it simple to find pieces that fit your style, whether you're into mid-century modern, coastal, or Scandinavian design. Delivery was fast. Their customer service team was fantastic. They answered all my questions and made the experience completely stress-free. Article makes it effortless to create a stylish, long-lasting home without overspending. And with their 30-day satisfaction guarantee, you can shop with total confidence. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/Meidas for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
It's just fascinating when you look at the story of who the Trump organization gets into business with. This guy, David Young, really didn't have a reputation of being a developer before. When you dig a little deeper, local media reported that the guy had 2 bankruptcy filings when he was picked by the Trump organization. I mean, does that shock you? The Trump organization, Donald Trump, has gone bankrupt over and over and over again with his various entities and casinos. And Donald Trump has ruined so many businesses have been destroyed by Donald Trump. And so he picked a guy, I guess, who had 2 bankruptcies, like very little diligence. And apparently, this guy, David Young, he reached out to Ivanka and he said, hey, let's do business. And Ivanka's like, you want to meet Eric? And then Eric's like, hey, let's do this thing. I'll slot my name on it. And Young's like, all right, let's do it. And then, before you knew it, Eric, here's what Eric posted, just so you can see. I'm so proud to announce what will soon be the tallest building in Australia, Trump International Hotel and Tower, Gold Coast. This marks our first venture into Australia, an extraordinary country in every respect, and I couldn't be more excited to help shape its iconic skyline forever. More to come. Just think if this is the level of diligence they're doing on this project. I mean, these people are so careless, so reckless in every damn thing that they do. And you just notice also, did you notice that Eric made a similar announcement in Tbilisi in the country of Georgia, where he said, look what we're building in Tbilisi. It's good. I mean, it basically looks like the identical kind of slop announcement. Here's what he just posted in Tbilisi. This was like, a few days back? I'm so excited to share the official rendering of Trump Tower Tbilisi with a prime location in the heart of Tbilisi. This tower will quickly become a landmark as the tallest building in Georgia. You see, just like Operation Epic Fury, Project Freedom Plus, Operation Sledgehammer, Operation Midnight Hammer. All these Trumps they come up with a name. It's like a branding thing, and there's never follow through. So focus on Tbilisi. We'll see what's going on there if that's ever built. But I want to also focus on some additional developments in Australia, as the Trump regime, as the Trump name, very, very, very toxic there. I want to remind everybody back when the last ASEAN conference took place, the big kind of Asian conference took place. We saw Senator Penny Wong of Australia, who runs their Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, meeting with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines. And then that led to a visit by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to China, as Australia has now begun its pivot away from the United States to China. Something we're seeing in Europe, something we're seeing across the world right here. Let me remind you what Albanese said when he traveled to China last year, and he got a state welcome as well. Here's what Albanese had to say. Play this clip.
I'm here in Shanghai, China, supporting Australian businesses, supporting Australian jobs, and supporting our economy. We know that 1 in 4 of Australia's jobs depends upon free and fair trade. And our biggest export partner is China. So here I've brought a whole range of businesses with us from the resources sector, tourism and education, all engaging with China in a constructive way in order to boost our economic benefit. Engaging with China is in our interests to build a stable and secure region. Here, over the next few days, what I'm doing is building on that relationship to the benefit of Australian jobs and the Australian economy.
Now, I'll also remind you what Australians' former foreign minister, Gareth Evans, had to previously say about what the Australian people feel about Trump and how Trump's running the United States. Play this clip.
There's a survey done by Lawyer Institute, I think, say Australians' trust in the U.S. has fallen to its lowest point in 20 years, with only 36% of respondents saying they trust the U.S. to act responsibly in the world. What's your take on that?
Well, that's a dramatic falling away of some 20 percentage points, I think, in just a year. And obviously, it's very directly attributable to President Trump. There is no affection in Australia at all for what people perceive to be Trump's approach to international relations, Trump's approach to democracy, Trump's approach to internal respect and protection for civil liberties, for human rights. This is not a country that we've always believed in under the current administration, and it's no surprise that that confidence has dropped away. I mean, nobody knows what to expect from the Trump administration when it comes to international relations. There's 3 different strands at work. There's the America First isolationist divisions of spheres of influence. You do your thing, we'll do ours, and we don't want to get into any confrontational. No, that's one stream. Then there's the Make America Great Again stream, which is restoring American preeminence, primacy, all that stuff, with all that follows from that in terms of willingness to use force aggressively and in breach of international rule. And then there's the purely transactional, ego-driven dimension, where there's no obvious principles that are applicable at all except personal self-interest. So this is an environment which everybody is finding rather spooky. Trump's own advisors don't know which way he's going to jump, so how can the rest of us know which way he's going to jump? So obviously there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unhappiness with the way the United States is going. Hopefully, passage of time and a number of these policy decisions that Trump has been making will come back to bite him, including the economic ones in his own constituency. So hopefully over time we'll see some modification of behavior, but it's not surprising.
And of course, recently we saw Prime Minister Carney talk about this belief in democracy amongst countries like Canada, Europe, UK, Australia. That's really the new alliance right now, as Donald Trump screws over, America first is America alone, and Donald Trump screws over the rest of the world. Play this clip.
Which is a belief in democracy, the rule of law, that we're all equal before that law. And imperfectly, the international system had variants of that, but Anne Bour's part of her very distinguished career was to make sure that those who transgressed in the most egregious ways those rules, norms, standards were prosecuted and brought to justice. That system, as I've observed in the past, and I'm not alone in making these observations, has been greatly weakened and needs to be rebuilt, and rebuilt perhaps in a different way, but rebuilt based on the same principles. And Canada, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, other countries share very firm convictions with those principles, and we will work together to rebuild. And obviously, there's a critical mass in Europe of countries, 27 members of the European Union, but then a broader grouping that you saw in that meeting in Armenia, over 50 countries that have some form of association with Europe and either fully support or are moving towards those principles. So that's what I meant by those comments, and I stand by them.
And of course, before Donald Trump's trip to China, Donald Trump was whining and complaining and attacking Japan and Australia and NATO and South Korea. Whining. Here's what Donald Trump said. Let's play this clip.
Mr. President, on NATO, you voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO is a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO is a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, but we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia.
So no Trump Tower in Australia. See you later. It's not happening at all. That 91 story thing they talked about, the AI image, the AI slop in the beachside district of the Gold Coast in Queensland. That ain't happening. A nice Australian goodbye there for Donald Trump and his despicable regime. And I'll just say this. Shout out to all the Meidas mates, the Meidas Down Under in Australia. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing out there. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.